I've got a few minutes I want to take to talk really quickly about mods and the latest versions of Victoria 3. Number one, there's going to be a new hot fix before everybody takes off for summer vacation. It'll be 1.9.5. This one does look like it's going to make a pretty big number of changes. So when that comes out, I'm going to do another look at everything and see what's still working after that one. But we also want to look at what causes mods to break. And I'm going to touch on a few things real here again, very briefly. Number one, a mod can break because of changes in the actual code of the game. And we're seeing this with a lot of GUI utilities or graphical user interface utilities. I'll talk about those in a little bit here, but we're seeing that just because the basic way Victoria 3 does that has been changed. But another one can come out because of code incompatibilities. If, for example, you refer to let's say you have a mod that's referring to something and Paradox has changed the way that variable is referenced, the old code will break because it's asking for an old thing that isn't there anymore. It'll hit that error out either gracefully and keep playing the game, but it'll start to act weird, or it'll fail, crash to desktop and say, okay, I hit code, I don't understand it, I'm done. Erase the screen. And that's always a problem. And with my latest mod set, there were some crashes to desktop because on some people's systems, when they hit those things that my system was just saying, okay, whatever, keep going. Theirs hit it and said, no, that's it, we're done here. And part of it also has to do with the way Windows 11 has changed. I don't want to get into that. There are problems. Let's just leave it there. If you use Windows 11 and you want to mention something about it in the comments, feel free, but do it in a helpful way. We all know there's problems. If you got solutions, let's hear about that. Okay, anyway. So, for example, I've got this one mod I'm working on. I've actually uploaded it. It's called Soul Train. It adds more transportation. I did it because the Make My Railway Profitable Again wasn't compatible with the changes made to trains in 1.9. What do I mean? Well, I've got this tool called DocFetcher, and I use it to go through all my mod directory in the Victoria 3 directory and be able to search through that and just give me a list of all the text files that have a particular term in it and let me compare them against each other. So one term I wanted to look at was goods output transportation add. That's how much the railroad is adding for transportation. Okay, so I type that in here or copy and paste it, hit search. Not transportation with asterisks on either side. That's too much. I want specifically this term. And I have them all here. Well, this is MMRPA, Make My Railway Profitable Again. And you can see here it is. It's adding that. And it's got roughly 5,000 workers on the railroad here, or 4,750 all the way through. Okay, that's a lot. But if I go to the private infrastructure file here for the base game, it's now down to 1,000. So this has changed. It used to be everything was requiring 5,000. That's it. You're done. Get out of here. And now we're down to 1,000 for the transportation, for the railroads. So I brought that into the mod I was working on, but also took in the numbers for transportation from Make My Railway Profitable Again and then increased them somewhat. So yeah, because I just felt I needed a little bit more than that. And so my mod, which I call Soul Train, will take the trains and put a lot more transportation on them, but we're using the staffing figures from 1.9 that have been changed. So really, Make My Railway Profitable Again, although it works in 1.9, it's got too many people compared to what the base game has. If you think that's right, keep using it. If you think you're not happy with that, you can give mine a try. That's the whole thing with mods. I don't care if you use a different mod to make your trains do things. Go for it. If it's what feels right for you, do it, because then you're happy. I'm just recommending ones and giving you reasons why I recommend. So anyway, yeah, I just increased the amount of transportation. That's all I changed. Well, I also did state trade capacity add equals 1 because that goes with the political and economic changes mod, which I also use a lot of. And by putting those all together in my mod folder, I have Soul Train. There it is. I've uploaded it. and that's what it does. Look, I have it in my mod list right here, haha, with the other mods I've made. So I've made 5. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, what else is different in here? Well, okay, the top bar. The other top bar that I had was, honestly, it hasn't been touched since 2024. And people on my Discord server were saying it's a problem, it's causing crashes, it's causing lag, because it keeps throwing an error every time there's a tick. Okay, so I looked around, and this one here, Expanded Top Bar Framework, if we can just open in Steam Workshop here. Ta-da! There it is. This has been modified as of today, the day I'm recording this, June 26th. So this guy's on top of it. Well done. And there's a team of modders too, which you can't see because it's behind my head, but there's a team in there. I like that. You will need to have this work with a new game. If you're trying to use an existing save that's having buggy problems, I'm sorry. Delete it, start over. I have a really good French run that's bugged out because of problems. I'm sorry. Goodbye France of 1876. I won't see you again until I play another round. Which means there's a delay in my getting out a video about how to trade and treaty and all that. Yeah, okay. But anyway, so Expanded Top Bar Framework, I use that now to replace the other one. This one is up to date. This one is being maintained actively, and it includes elements that allow other modders to add their top bar elements through the framework rather than trying to have to everybody hack in and fight over a GUI file. No, now you can share the framework. It's all good. I love that. What else do I have? I got the Soul Train there. Next up is Morgenrot. Love that mod. And now I have the Industry Realism and Morgenrot compatch, and now the PEC and Morgenrot compatch. Let's go open that in Steam Workshop. There we are. This is made by the author of PEC. We did notice that there were some areas where there was a code clash between Morgenrot and PEC. So he wrote a compatch for it, which means sorts out the code problems. It's basically whatever file loads last wins. So this is going to supersede all the other changes made in both PEC and Morgenrot and kind of combine them up and say, all right, we're going to take this from Morgenrot, take this from PEC, and say that's how it runs. And the game I tested with did a pressure run, was running very nicely, so I'm happy with that. I hope it keeps working. I think it will. And let me also mention the trade rework. This does not overhaul trade. Trade overhaul, which this modder has also made. You see, somebody else who says, yeah, if you don't use this one, use the other one. I don't care. This just makes it to where it's easier to fully staff the trade centers, and that makes them operational. It makes them where the people will work with them. Trade overhaul will just add massively more capacity. So if you want like oceans of trade, go with overhaul. If you think that's not realistic, I don't blame you. But if you think that, hey, I like that, I want to play that way, go for it. Enjoy. And then a final note on less cultures. I mentioned this in the last video. Yeah, and I was going on about how, I don't care about Central Asia. Well, it's because I'm not playing as Russia. If I'm playing as Russia, I care very much about Central Asia because you need to have the Kazakh minority or the Kazakh culture in there to do your things. And so now I'm going to say, I'm going to not click on that integrate culture button until, say, around 1860, 70, whatever. When it looks like Russia has cleaned out the Caucasus and taken care of Central Asia, I'm going to mash that button. If they're diddling around and they can't figure it out, oh well, too late, guys. My CPU's got to save itself. But if I want the great game to work for Russia, I can't do it right at the beginning, which kind of explains why Russia really wasn't doing so when I did the French game. They weren't expanding in Central Asia as much as they were into where I was trying to go, into the Middle East. So that could have gone a lot better for me now that I think about it. But anyway, still a good mod. Just click the button later in the game if you want it to work for Russia. All right, so that's all I have right now. Check out Soul Train, check out the patches, check out everything. And then when 1.9.5 releases, I'm going to do another overhaul there and make sure that we've got the right mods for the right folks and it doesn't crash your system as often as it could. All right, you have fun, play safe, peace, love, and soul. All right, rock on. I got to hit the stop recording button. Am I going to cut myself in the middle of a sentence again? Because I always seem to do that, and it just bothers me. It bothers me that I never get a chance to let myself finish my own